The Latin American country of Chile has a lot to offer, but one thing it doesn't offer a lot are short-lived states. The country witnessed governments that held on to power for periods over a decade, so these are not legitimate short-lived states. However, in 1932, there existed the short-lived Socialist Chilean Republic. What was that all about? Was it socialist? Well, it had a catch, and it existed for only several months, and that makes it a legitimate short-lived state, and means that I, aka the History Hustler, has to cover it. So, in this video, you're gonna learn about the short-lived Socialist Chilean Republic. Keep watching. The Socialist Republic of Chile was a product of the Great Depression that also hit Chile severely. Prices of Chile's export products, nitrate and copper, went into a free fall. The value of copper, for example, Chile's most lucrative export, fell from $111 million to only $33 million. Predictably, unemployment levels rose. Chilean President Carlos Ibáñez del Campo did not have to confront the crisis right away, as foreign loans were still coming in. But by the start of 1931, the flow of money dried up. Ibáñez was given emergency powers to solve the crisis. Chile went off the gold standard and they stopped paying to foreign creditors. Yet, the economic situation worsened by the week. That summer, a new cabinet was appointed, the Cabinet of National Salvation. Well-liked ministers entered office, but soon resigned, as they found out it was impossible to work with the authoritarian Ibáñez. Street protests were the result, and in order to restore order, dozens were killed. Ibáñez realized his position was untenable, and therefore he went to exile in Argentina. The vice presidency was given to Juan Esteban Montero. A naval mutiny occurred shortly after, but after a show of aerial force, the mutineers surrendered. In October 1931, Montero won the elections. Shortly after his inauguration, however, communists seized the regimental barracks of the army in Copiapó, but they were soon expelled. And as an act of revenge, the Chilean military police, the Carabineros, blew up the communist HQ in Santiago, in which 20 were killed. Montero had inherited a country that was called by the League of Nations the most devastated by the economic depression. Money supplies had depleted because of a run on banks. The government set up the Unemployment Aid Committee, in which housing and food was given to those in need. Yet it didn't help, as the Montero government quickly floundered, caught in a web of subterranean rivalry of political opponents. Several plots against Montero were uncovered early 1932. Early June, a journalist named Carlos Davila teamed up with anti-Montero officers and a socialist lawyer named Eugenio. They launched a coup d'etat, in which airplanes dropped leaflets over the city. Montero soon realized he was powerless and surrendered. The victorious revolutionaries now proclaimed the Socialist Republic of Chile. In its initial declaration to the public, the junta declared that the liberal economy had failed. The state would henceforth assume a strongly directive role. Over the next few days, the activity of the new regime was frenzied. It dissolved Congress and, among other measures, decreed a 3-day bank holiday, followed by strict controls on withdrawals, halted evictions from low rental properties, and ordered the Caja de Crédito Popular, a savings and loan bank for those of modest means, founded in 1920, to return clothes and tools which had been pawned there. Davila soon resigned from the junta, but he had a plan. Because 3 days later, aircraft buzzed the palace once again, and army leaders installed Davila as the ruler of the new junta. He sent several of his former plotters, nigh rivals, to banishment on Easter Island. A state of siege was declared, strict press censorship introduced, and radio stations came under strict government control. But it gets weirder, because then Ibáñez returned from exile from Argentina back to Chile, and he had talked with Davila. Now, many people believe that Davila had done all this to put Ibáñez back in power. Well, no. Davila was not willing to step down. So yeah, Ibáñez, he took the plane back to Argentina. And Davila named himself the provisional president of the Socialist Republic. The conspirators declared Chile to be a socialist republic, although they did not really define what they meant by socialism. It certainly was not Trotskyist or Marxist socialism. So if it wasn't Trotskyist or Marxist socialism, what was it then? Well, most likely Davila didn't know either. His vision was one of a series of large public corporations running agriculture, mining, industry, transportation, foreign trade and so on, coordinated by a National Economic Council, which he actually set up. All this was a chimera. Davila didn't enjoy widespread support. Many people were angry for the fact that he sent away Ibáñez, who many people hoped would get back in power. You know, gaining power is one thing, ruling a country another. Mid-September, military aircraft flew over the palace once again. This time it was Davila's turn to step down. After 100 days, his rule had come to an end. Elections were held as soon as possible, and these were won by the liberal Arturo Alessandri. The Socialist Republic had failed for sure, but in reality it had never really started. Socialism, however, in one form or the other, remained firmly on the Chilean political agenda, and it has not left ever since. If you want to learn about other short-lived states, I have a whole playlist for you. Click right here. Thank you so much for watching. Adios.